Good evening from London on the 2nd of March, 2022. It's 8 o'clock, and this is Golden Nugget Nation Q&A. And tonight I'm going to suspend with the Q&A because I think there's important lessons that are being learned across the world right now. And so I just want to talk about these leadership lessons that are coming out of this Ukraine situation. Now, this is close to my heart, but at the other aspect of it, I think the world has had a real lesson in leadership from the president of the Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Now, when I first became aware of Zelenskyy, I was in Ukraine. I was seeing these posters of some guy riding a bicycle through the city with his tie flapped over the shoulder. And it looked like a comedy. And I remember asking the person I was with at the moment, I said, "What's all this about?" He says, "Oh, he's a great comedian in this country. And he's going to have a TV show where he's going to end up being president of the Ukraine." Now, it wasn't until after he was president I actually got to see this show that they were talking about. I believe if I translate correctly, it was like a civil servant. And this was a public school teacher who went on a rant in the classroom. Students filmed the rant. The rant got posted, it got millions of views, and the next thing you know, he's running for president of the Ukraine. He's fully anticipating that he will lose because he's a nobody, but he gets like 70% of the vote. He wins by a landslide. People liked his fresh approach, his ideas that came out in the rant. And then it's all about him trying to face the corruption that goes on in natural Ukraine government. And that's where the humor is all about, how the new trappings of president from a guy that was just barely making it in life, how he had to deal with family issues because they all wanted to chime in on the old way that things were done in Ukraine. And he was standing up as a leader, not only to the nation, but an example of what leadership should all be about. And he did it with a lot of humor. Well, let me tell you about what I know. I watched him when he was running for president in a debate. And I realized that I had seen debates like this many times before. I knew how people were going to answer the debate questions from the opposition because they were all running from the playbook by Saul Alinsky, who wrote Rules for Radicals. Now, if you're a business person, it's always good to know what the playbook that your opposition may be using. So I recommend you read it, but I also recommend you read the dedication to the book, because the book is actually dedicated to Lucifer, Satan, the first radical. He was so radical, he was thrown out of heaven. Now, I'm not going to sit back and tell you that to use that playbook, but you need to know the playbook because people will use that playbook with you. Part of it is things like, you accuse people of what you're doing. You try to make people stick to their own rules and regulations while you exploit what you're doing that's wrong. And we see this all the time in the world, but I'm not going to go any further because this is all about Zelenskyy, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Now, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, in some ways, is like a Donald Trump. He's a guy that had no political background. He wins by a landslide, not a landslide in Trump's case, but literally Zelenskyy got 30% of the vote. And he becomes president. People laughed at him when he ran they couldn't take it serious that a politician was running, and everybody kind of thought Trump was just doing another a publicity stunt, saying he was going to run for president. Nobody took him seriously, but the person was gaining power, gaining momentum. People were starting to look at them. They were winning all the popularity polls and the people voting polls and all this kind of stuff that was going on. Becomes elected, and suddenly is facing all kinds of confrontation from outside sources. People within government are trying to sabotage him at every step. Same thing with Zelensky. People are trying to sabotage him at every step. They were trying to stymie every policy, procedure, whatever he was trying to do. But he never quit, and he never stopped speaking to the people. And then we know what happened last Thursday. Now, he's been asking people for a couple of years to help them arm themselves, train their people, prepare for this day. He knew it was coming. He knew that there would be a point in time when the Ukraine would be in trouble. So number one rule of leadership, you need to be prepared for what other people think is unforeseen. Be prepared. Look at what can happen and prepare for it as best as you can. The second thing is, when things went wrong, he didn't look to blame people. He just started right away by saying, this is how we're going to face it. This is how we're going to deal with the problem. This is what successful people do. They don't look for who can I blame about the issue. They look for, okay, this is what we have to deal with. This is the hand that we've been dealt, so to speak, if you're a card player. And now, how do I make the best of this situation? This is precisely what he's done. The other thing is, modern day leadership, you've got to be good at social media. You've got to be good at social media. And he has used social media to his advantage to get world opinion moving his way. Now, people sit there and say, well, he was in media. He was a media star, so he would know about that. Anybody can be a social media superstar if they want to be. You just have to put in the effort and learn how to do it. There's a guy in America, they call him kind of like the pillow guy. His name's Mike Lindell. He used to have actors do his pillow commercials until one day he felt like they just weren't putting enough passion into what he wanted to say about his pillows and his sheets and his whatever he's selling. And so he started doing the advert and found that he got more followers following his commercials and buying his products and all kinds of things. And so he does all of his media stuff himself now, all of it. He's become a media superstar. He's become a social media star. Now, in business, become one. Become one. Be somebody that they can recognize, somebody that people will want to listen to. And why do people want to listen to you? It's because you're telling them a truth. You're telling them a truth that they can feel and that they can see. Now, here I'm going to go back to Zelensky because he's been telling a truth. There's been all kinds of rumors. They've put on the internet on one occasion, like on the third day of this event, that he was dead. He had been killed in the night. And so what does he do? He gets to a very famous landmark in the city of Kiev, and he stands in front of the camera and says, hi, this is such and such a day. I'm here. Rumors had me dead, but no, I'm here. I'm still here. Ukraine, we believe this. This is why we're here. This is what we're fighting for. We're fighting for our land. We're fighting for our children. We're fighting for our freedom. We're fighting for our wives. On and on and on. Glory to Ukraine is how he tends to always finish everything. Glory to Ukraine. That is a mark of leadership. When the president of the United States, Joe Biden, says, we got to get you out of there because he is the top on the kill list. The deck of cards that they've been passing out to their soldiers, just like we did, just like the United States did in the Gulf War. They had decks of cards with, who was the ace, Jack, the ace of spades was Saddam Hussein on the cards, and all of the people, so you had all 52 cards had somebody that was of importance, somebody to be captured, to be killed, or whatever else. Zelensky is the ace. His family is next. So he knows that he's a dead man walking. He knows he's a dead man walking. If they come into the town, they are targeting to get him. They want to remove him from leadership. And so when the president of the United States says, we will get you out of there, how many times have you seen world leaders loading up on planes, bringing their cash, bringing their jewelry, what does he say? I don't need a ride. I need ammunition. That reverberated around the world. And the world, which wasn't doing much, suddenly responded. This was a leader. And people choose to follow a leader. If you're in business, if you're an entrepreneur and you are not leading, then you need to move out of the way for somebody who will. And don't worry, you don't need to move out of the way, because a leader will move you out of the way. So if you sit back there and you say, well, I don't know. Number one, be honest. When you speak to people, tell them what is the truth. They will feel the vibration. Number two, make sure you're getting your message out, and repeat your message as often as you can in the most creative way as possible. Number three, let people know you mean business and what it is that you're wanting. Now, here's another thing that I want to point out. He is a skilled communicator. I have now listened to him twice give speeches where he talks about what is happening in his country, the help that they need, and what it is that he wants. And on two occasions, once when he was on German television and the translator into German broke down crying because of the passion that they were feeling from his words. And yesterday, to the European Union, when he was asking for emergency acceptance, the translator, a man, began to become tearful, and you could hear him get choked up. That is how you need to be presenting whatever you're doing. You've got to get people by their emotions. A leader can do that. A leader can tell people exactly where they fit into the real scheme of things and get them to want the same thing. And they can see themselves in it so clearly. That's a leader. If you have a mission statement, you need to have your team so committed to the mission statement that they not only see themselves in it, they're going to make it happen for you. All right, look, that's Sunday night. I've talked too long. This is Wednesday night. I've talked too long. I'm really sorry. I wish you a great week. Be the leader. Be the leader. People will follow. People will buy. Be the leader. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.